Salutations and welcome to the farm. I am out of ghee and I thought I would bring you here with me today out into my summer kitchen to put together a new batch of ghee. If you don't know what ghee is nothing simply more than just butter fat. You put it through a process where you remove the whey, the milk byproducts, the lactose, everything, and you're just left with pure gold, which is just the butter fat. Now, I know some of us probably hear the word ghee and we think, ooh, that's awful, I would never eat that. It just sounds funny. I know I thought that for the longest time until I really started seeing Stacy over at Doug and Stacy's Off-Grid Living when they were doing things on their homestead and they were showing us how to make the ghee and what their uses for it were. I was sold and I knew that I had to make my own. Now, I have made ghee twice in the last year and I didn't record any of the process and I am fresh out, so it is time to do this again. So what I did is the last time I went down to the Amish markets, I picked up some of their Amish country butter. I like using the Amish butter or I like using Kerrygold butter. You can use any butter, but you really want something that's really nice, grass-fed, really nice, rich butter. And the process is very, very simple. I have my turkey roaster behind me. I have it set to warm up to just 200 degrees. You don't have to use a very high heat with this. I'm going to put this Amish butter into my glass baking dish and I'm going to put it into that 200 degree turkey roaster for about 45 minutes and let all of that oil separate from the solids. They will separate. The solids will go on the bottom. The oils will rise to the top. I'll bring you back for the process once it's melted, and all we will simply do is just skim anything off the top and then get the oil out without getting any of the whey and the solids that are on the bottom, and we'll put it in some canning jars. Now, sometimes if you check your surplus stores, your stores that get truckloads of food in that they're going to sell at a reduced price, check to see if they get any Kerrygold in or some really good butter. I've been able to get some great deals on Kerrygold at a discount market, and I made ghee out of that, and that was a great deal. Okay, here's our last pound of butter going into our baking dish. Let's get these into the roaster. Now, you can make your ghee in just your regular oven, in a toaster oven. I was going to do mine in the solar oven today, but the sun is not cooperating. We've got quite a bit of clouds rolling and we're going to have a winter storm in May, they say. So I decided to come out here to the summer kitchen and go ahead and put it into my roaster. Now, if you choose to use a roaster, make sure you have a rack on the bottom. You don't want this glass directly on the bottom. You want it elevated a little bit. So make sure you center it, put it up on a rack, and put the lid on it, and then just walk away for 45 minutes. Okay, our butter fat has separated from the butter solids. I've had an opportunity to get all of my supplies together. You're going to want a funnel. If you're going to invest the money in some really top quality butter, don't pour it all over the table. Make sure you use a funnel. I made my last batch in 1.5 jars, but then I found it was hard to get a spoon down to the bottom where my ghee was down at the bottom when it got low. So I'm going to go with small jars this time. I also have some lids. Now, there's a canning lid shortage right now. At some of your stores, they have the plastic lids that fit your canning jars, and you can use these for your ghee. It doesn't have to be sealed. It doesn't have to be processed. You can just put your ghee in your jar and put the lid on, and it will be fine sitting in your cabinet in your pantry. Also, if you happen to have any pasta jars that are Atlas or Mason jars when you buy them from the store, one of them is Classico. The lids will fit your regular size Mason jars, and you can utilize this type of a lid for any type of spices or this ghee like we're doing, anything that's dried. I have a spoon, a really nice clean heavy spoon that's deep. I'll be able to skim the oil out without getting any of the solids in, and then we'll be able to pour it into our jars. So let's go get the ghee out of the oven. So the first thing that you'll notice is you're going to have a byproduct right on the top, almost like a skin. You don't want to put that in your ghee. You're going to want to remove that. So taking your spoon, just barely skim the top. All of this will just come together like a really nice little clump. And you're able to remove that. Do you see that there? And it spills back in. It's okay, it's going to float back to the top. But we're just going to put this in this little ramekin here and set this aside. So you're going to want to continue just scraping the top without touching the milk solids on the bottom. When you get it to the edge, tilt your spoon a little bit so if there's any oil caught in there, it'll drain back down in. And just remove those solids that are at the top as best you can. So we're going to just keep doing that. I'm going to try to show you over in this corner here. I'm going to gather up all of this stuff at the top and then just take your spoon right to the edge and tilt it, and you see how the oil all kind of drains back down in, but you keep that byproduct in your spoon. Byproduct might not be the best word, but it's like a skin on the top. It's just something that you don't want in your ghee if you want your ghee to be really good and pure. So this is where it just takes a little bit of patience and some due diligence here, and just get as much of that off the top as you can. Another trick is you can take just a little corner of a paper towel and kind of skim it along the top, and it will just kind of grab all of these little floaters on the top, but you're also losing a little bit of your oil. So I try to do that sparingly, but it does work. You can see the oil at the top, and then you can see all the milk solids at the bottom. Those milk solids are that's what we don't want. So once you have skimmed off the top, clean your spoon, get all of that debris off of there, and get your jars ready. So these have been cleaned, sterilized, and dry. You don't want to have any water droplets in there or anything. And I have a canning funnel, and this will ensure that all of my ghee goes right down into my jar perfectly fine. And you just want to dip your spoon in and allow the ghee to fill into your spoon without disturbing the milk solids on the bottom, and pour that into your jar. And it's beautiful. If you have a little bit of milk solids sneak in, just pour it out and start over. Usually when you first start this, you're not going to have a lot of that because the milk solids are at the bottom and all of the oil is at the top. There's our first jar. I'll just go ahead and put my funnel into the next jar so it stays clean. We have our clean jar lids here, and we're just going to screw that on. And look at how beautiful that is, all of that butter fat. Now what we're going to do is we will just set this aside, and as that butter fat cools, it's going to harden. It will be a beautiful yellow gold color, and then you can use it for your cooking and your baking. So I'm going to continue on filling up the rest of my jars. I brought 7 jars out. I don't know if I'll have enough to fill all 7 jars. If you just angle your spoon and allow that oil to spill into the spoon, this is just a really easy process. As your levels of oil get lower and you're getting to where you've got those milk solids are a little more prevalent, you can pick up your baking dish and you can tilt it, and the solids will go to one side and the oil will come to the top, and it'll be a little bit deeper. It'll be a little easier for you to get. Here's jar number 2. I'm going to use my spaghetti jar lid on this one. and it fits perfectly. You know what's really nice about this is if you have any dietary restrictions, if you're lactose intolerant and you can't eat butter without it upsetting your tummy, this is a really great option because it has removed all of the milk solids. It's removed the lactose, so you can still have a great buttery flavor, and you can fry your eggs in this. It's a beautiful flavor, and it has such a high smoke point. Your eggs aren't going to burn, and your tummy's not going to be upset. You can use this to pop your popcorn in. Looking forward to that this year. You want to make sure you set aside time in the day to address this just as soon as it comes out of the oven, because you don't want it to become solidified again. You want to get this oil out while it's still nice and hot. So make sure that you set that time aside and that you're not having to run off to the store or run some errands and this sits and solidifies again. You want to do this while it's freshly out of the oven. Now I've reached the stage where it's becoming a little bit more beneficial for me to tilt my baking dish so that the solids kind of go a little ways away, and I've got a little deeper surface to work with to get the oil. And if you get a little bit of milk solids creeping in there from the bottom, it's okay. Dump it all out of your spoon. It's going to slide right out and start over. It's no harm, no foul. The last one always takes a little bit more precision. Those milk solids like to try to sneak into the spoon. So it's a little harder to get that very last little bit out. Takes a little persistence. But like I said earlier, if you spent the money on good butter, you want to make sure you get as much out of this as you can. Okay, that's about it. I got about everything I can get out of this. So I ended up with 6 and a little bit more than a half pints of ghee to get us through the year. Here's the first one we did, and you can see it's already starting to turn that really deep gold color. This will turn into a solidified oil in just a couple of hours, and I'll take a picture of it then so I can put it in the video. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and a half jars of ghee. Now this one, I'm going to use this one first. I'm not going to put this on the shelf because you can see I've got just a little bit of solids in there. It was a little harder to skim the oil from the solids, but it will be fine. We'll use it up in plenty of time. The others will just go in the pantry. You don't need to refrigerate them. They can just stay out on the counter. You can refrigerate it if you want to, but you don't need to. You can just keep it out on the counter and use it as you need to. If you make some ghee, I'd love to hear about it. Comment in the section below. If you love ghee already and you use it in different ways of cooking and baking, comment below and let me know how you use ghee. So thank you for joining me here at the farm with Country Mama Musings. We will see you next time. Until then, make sure you subscribe, like this video, and hit the notification button. Come back and see us again real soon. Until then, take care of yourself and take care of each other. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.